side. So. Okay, this was last week, so we wrapped up with our content marketing strategy book. We got that exam. It's open through the 1st of February. You take that anytime you want, before the midnight on the 1st. Let's see, we did some HubSpot stuff. Hopefully that worked out okay. I didn't get anybody send me emails, so if you run into any issues, please let me know. Today's fun. I like this one. We're going to talk about copyright. Yay! You're all excited now. I can see looking dry. Yay! Copyright! So we'll try to be excited about it. But I've learned something over the years I've been here, that we get students go out and do internships, and they get their first jobs. And one thing that could really burn somebody is not understanding copyright, because you can do a lot of things in education and school, and just you use a lot of stuff, and it's no big deal. But man, when you get in the job, it's not the same world. It's a very different world when it comes to copyright. So we're going to go over a couple things to help us out, and how we're going to do stuff when we produce stuff, what the expectations are. One of the hardest things I think to do, we're going to create some blog posts. But when I worked as a journalist, always the hardest thing was coming up with the lead or the headline kind of thing. If you come up with that and then kind of have a structure, it really help you out. But we're going to work on some tools to come up with good headlines for your blog posts. We're going to work on that. We're going to work on, setting up our website, what we're going to be learning about. And then we're going to use LinkedIn Learning to learn some things. And we're going to do a lesson during this week from that about photography. It's geared specifically towards mobile photography, like with the phone, but the principles are all the same about depth of field and all that kind of stuff. So. Okay, demos today. We got our first demos. Bryn, Kaylee, and Colby are set up next week, next Monday, February 6th, already into February. Jenna, Julia, and Tessa are our next ones. So let me pull up our modules and see what we got here for our demos. Okay, Bryn, and we got Kaylee, and we got Colby. Come in. You already have these guys. All right. Just a little trick, by the way. These, when you upload them like this, which is great. So they usually defaults to the lower quality settings. So if you go to this little wheel, go to quality, you can usually bump it up so it looks just a little bit better. So we're bumped up here. So we're going to learn about 150 templates for post creation for HubSpot. All right, let's check this out.
For my tips and tools today, I wanted to show you guys the complete collection of content creation templates. This is something that I found on HubSpot, and you all should have an account because you watch videos for this class. So hopefully you guys all have an account. But there's some really great stuff on here. So download that for free. It's just 150 templates for pretty much like any kind of content creation post, which is really awesome. So I already downloaded it, so I just go to my Finder, and it's just right up here. And as you can see, there is so many things here to choose from. And they even have more folders with templates in there. And it's honestly super handy and helpful. Like, even just to like get ideas for something you want to do. Some of them come in Google Slides and some come in PowerPoint, which is kind of weird. So this one is just some Instagram post templates that are in Google Slides. So it just gives you kind of an idea of what those could look like. Down here I have the Pinterest templates. And again, it's just another like PowerPoint, but like looking through it, like these are the type of things that I would totally see on a Pinterest board, and we're here for it. That is something I love. And then my favorite is the ebook template, because I know in this class, near the end, I think we have to have an ebook. So this can give you either some ideas of what you want to do, or maybe even be a template that you use. So this is my tips and tools, and I hope that you guys take advantage of it, because I think it's a really great thing that they have available for us.
All right, nice job. So, Bryn, what did you think? What did you like best about the templates that they had?
I really like the ebook stuff. Like, just looking through them, I thought there was a lot of good things on there, and it just like helps give me ideas of what like I would want my use to look like.
Yeah. In this class, you can use template stuff. The main thing you always remember about when you use a template, typically change it a little bit at least, so it's not exactly, the only thing you run into is that a lot of people just grab and drop the template, so you don't have the same thing as DCT or other people. But they also have some great ideas. So it's like, hey, this is a good idea, and I can swap out some of the images, maybe tweak the colors or fonts and stuff like that. So it's pretty nicely done. All right, let's see. Kaylee, Grammarly and Canva, twofer. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's both quality.
Hi everybody. A couple of things that I found for content marketing tools was two websites that you can look up. The first one is Canva. I've used this before to help create logos and slideshows and stuff like that. They have really cool designing features. You do a logo maker, flyer maker, banner maker, poster maker, anything you can think of, and design on here for free. There is also a business feature on here where you can use cases, and that can help you create content faster, help build your brand, plan, schedule, and then a couple other things that I found is they do have a marketing team that you can do, and it allows you to create professional marketing materials, like marketing templates for social media videos, presentations. It will schedule your designs to social media, and has a couple of brand kits I think are really cool. And so I think this is a great resource if we're creating things for content or for marketing. This can allow us to design a couple of things. And and the other website I found, and many of you may know, Grammarly. I think this is really a cool tool that we can use. Helps with, spelling, punctuation, grammar. It's just something that you can download to your computer, and I think this would help with content and making sure that you're spelling and doing everything correctly for your brand. So hope this helps.
All right, good job. Hey, how many of your Canva users are in Canva? And Grammarly users have used Grammarly? So quite a few. Okay. Good, we expect perfect grammar and all that. Well, actually, there's enough tools now that hopefully we don't have any too many typos. Okay, Colby. Oh, we're going with OBS. We're getting technical here. So let's see. Let's pull some up. Oops. Let's get you some audio first.
Hey guys, for my tool, I wanted to show you OBS, or Open Broadcaster software, which, as it says on the website here, is the free and open source software for video recording and live. It's really, really good because it not only does screen capture like what I'm doing right now, but it also can handle multiple inputs. For example, I've got my camera here in the bottom right, and I've got the screen up. I'm only capturing this particular browser. I'm not capturing anything else on the computer. Any pop-ups or anything that will happen won't get captured. I can also scale up the quality and resolution. So I can do 1080p or 720 like most normal free stuff, but this can also go up to 4K or 8K. You can have multiple different mics and audios coming in. Really good for recording a podcast, for live streaming to Twitch, for YouTube, I use it a lot for capturing video game content, which is really, really good for that. It captures extremely high quality, whatever's rendered on the screen, not just whatever the software can handle. Completely free to use and very, very well supported with a lot of plugins and add-ins from different groups. If you've ever done streaming or know what Twitch is, then you know that a lot of streamers use Twitch, and a lot of streamers on Twitch use OBS because of its scalability. You can really apply a lot of different customized effects and a bunch of really useful tools. There's a ton of tutorials online on YouTube on how to use it. It can take 30 seconds to set up, or you can spend as much time as you want building different scenes and customizing your sources to get a full broadcasting live stream experience. If you ever need to record anything like presentations like what we do now, or anything where you need a screen capture, but it's got to be high quality, or it needs multiple cameras captured at the same time, and Zoom just isn't cutting it, and your free stuff doesn't work, try OBS, because it is not only free, but really, really powerful.
All right, Colby. Colby, you've been using it for some stuff?
Yeah, I use it all the time. Whenever I'm
make videos or streaming, or half the classes here at school are like, all right, download something that looks like malware. It'll probably work. Don't even worry, guys. Watermarks are so cool these days. Everyone loves them. I'm like, guys, it takes like 30 seconds. You download OBS, install it. You're getting high quality, good resolution, record whatever you want. It's so easy. Don't use Screencast-O-Matic. It's just that. Anyway, I really like it.
So. Screencast-O-Matic, which is okay. Yeah, OBS, so it is pretty simple. It can get pretty complex. It's got a lot of tools into it. It can be scary a little bit. So, but check it out if you have a predilection for that. If you don't, then that's why it's scary. It's a pretty cool piece of software. So thanks for sharing. Okay, let's jump into this. Nicely done. Okay, so next week get Jenna, Julia, and Tessa, and the week after that, go ahead and look on the calendar, and I'll post next week who has other tips and tools for the following week. I put this out there today just because, kind of this time of semester, today the sun is up and it's cold, it's been kind of gloomy, so this is President Nelson from last conference, and he says this: my plea to you this morning is to find rest from the intensity and certain anguish of this world by overcoming the world through the covenants of God. Cherish and honor your covenants above all commitments, as you let God prevail. I promise you greater peace, confidence, joy, and rest. So we all want kind of some rest. I know some are looking for some sleep rest, but anyway, I thought it was great. It makes everything about life easier. Let's make it easy, but easier. And I like this quote from President Nelson as well. Education is the difference between wishing you could help others and being able to help them. And that's true. Yeah, education is the key to a lot of things. It opens a lot of doors. So there's our inspirational moment of the day. Okay, so today we're going to take on copyright, we're going to look at blogging, we're going to take on some mobile photography, and going to talk about our group presentation, which is coming up in 2 weeks. So that's going to be fun. So give me an answer for this one. Your best 1 or 2 sentence definition. What is copyright? See what you got. Throw something in there. Give me a thought. What is copyright? Some sort of definition. I'm going to start my clock so you can count down 40 seconds. Sorry, I won't do the Jeopardy song. You can have it yourself if you like. Screen over there. We go. All right, and where you're typing, oops, I skipped one. There we go. Sorry about that. I also was getting jumpy. Okay, and I know in some classes we take it on. If you're taking Comm 111, then we talk about some copyright issues in media law and ethics, then we take on some copyright issues. I've run into a lot here doing broadcast stuff, some video production, documentary, education. We run into issues. It's become a lot more complicated as we have a lot more reach, like we do stuff on Zoom or put stuff on websites or Canvas or stuff like that. So let's see what you've got. Let's come up and see what you put for some. Pull this over here. I'll make this a little bigger. Okay. Michaela tells us getting credit for something that was created and receiving that right to use it. Actual permission to use something. That sounds pretty good. Kennedy deleted a response. He's going to try again. Let's see. Savannah, copyright use protection for creative works like books, images, documents, and music. Sounds good. Using other people's material that is not yours without permission. Okay, that could be a problem. Okay, nobody really likes that. Protecting an individual's property, ownership of something you create. Sounds good. Attributing credit to someone for the work and ideas. Protection for ownership, Ashley. Using something that isn't originally yours without giving credit. Okay, so we've got both sides talking about protecting your stuff and then using stuff that isn't yours. So we've got a lot of things. Maybe it looks like we're running around rights, what we can do with different creative things, books, images, legal ownership, etc., etc. I'll loop in response. Come on in. Come get logged in. All right, well, let's see what we got. Let me move this up here. Okay, here's a textbook definition. We'll talk about this. So, yeah, all great elements in there. So, federal law. So, here's one thing. Federal law means it's a law in the United States. There are laws in other countries about copyright. So, have to be wary when we start doing international stuff. Laws are different. There's some agreements. But within the United States, it's a federal law that protects original works of authorship. So, as was mentioned several times, like literary, written, dramatic, artistic, musical, and certain other type of works. So, that's copyright. So anything that's a creative work can be copywritten, and it's important. And a lot of you mentioned some things about protecting it or using somebody else's, so we're going to delve into that in just a second. All right, so you make a creative work. When does copyright take effect? So I've got some multiple choice options for you. When does it actually take effect? So you take a photo, you do a video, you write a book, you write a poem. It's an artistic work. When does copyright actually take effect? So slide this over. So here we go. We got some that say immediately, some say after one files, which is 10 days. Okay, and this is kind of like a horse race. We'll see which one gets more or less. All right. Okay, so it's just about everybody. So we've got a lot say it's immediately, some say after one files, and one person is 10 days after verification. So let's check it out. Let's see what we got. Okay, so those of you who said immediately were right. As soon as the original work is created, it applies to both published and unpublished works. Now, what is published versus unpublished? That can be kind of confusing. So published in this sense is like professionally published. It doesn't mean like published on your blog post. That would seem kind of silly. So as soon as you type the words, click the shutter, snap a photo, whatever it is. So if you're in class, you're drawing some cool thing over here, and voila, it's actually yours. So the rights belong to you. But that brings up another question. So let's look at this next question and see what you think about this one. So does copyright require special paperwork? So the question is a yes or no. Copyright does or does not require the author to file special paperwork, as is the case for trademark and patents. So does it require special paperwork or does it not? So patents definitely do. Trademarks do. So if you want to trademark purple arches instead of golden arches, then you have to fight against the McDonald's folks because your arches are purple against the trademark. If you put your apple, put the light on the other side of apple, where can you trademark that one versus that one? Oh, we won't get into those. Those are totally different. So let's see what we got. Let's pull it up and see what our answers are. So we've got, 11 say does not, 4 say does. Oh, come on. Trick question. You took it off already. Okay, Emma Miller, you say does not, or maybe you just changed your mind. Now you say does. Tell us why you think it does not.
Well, if it's previous slide, if it's copyrighted right when it's created, then it doesn't require paperwork.
Okay. Oh, but it could have been a trick question. Okay, Kennedy, what do you think? You say it does.
Because it says in cases with patents and trademarks, and on Shark Tank, if you don't have a patent for it, somebody else can steal your patent, and they own the rights to basically your design.
Okay, so you're thinking on the patent and trademark kind of thing, so maybe copyright's the same? Okay, that's a good question, so let's verify that one. So copyright's a little bit different than trademark and patents. It doesn't require any special paperwork. However, if we have that example where Kenny's back there and she makes some cool creative work and someone's speaking over her shoulder and she takes it and says it's hers, then at some point we got to have some sort of lawsuit or something. Whose is it? So if you want to make sure and verify that it's actually yours, you can actually go ahead and file for something if you want to. Okay, but registration is required to enforce the rights. That would prove that it was yours. But otherwise, there's no, you don't have to prove that it's yours. This would only come up if it was like a legal matter. This has before. One of the most infamous ones probably was, some television was invented by Philo Farnsworth right here in Rigby, but there's RCA, the giant corporation, wanted to say that their guy had invented it first, and so went to court and actually came down to some drawings Philo had made back when he was in Rigby, when he was in junior high, where he showed how electronic television works. So he won. But nobody knows who he is unless you drive past Rigby on a regular basis. So the birthplace of television. So he was actually the inventor of electronic television. So that was kind of interesting. So no, you don't have to put there. If you want to put the Circle C next to it, just to remind people, kind of thing. But if it's really important to you, then you can go ahead and register it. It's cost about $25 or something. Okay, let's work on this one. So the copyright owner. So you make something. You have 4 specific rights that are outlined under the law. Get your best guess. What are those 4 things that you have? 4 specific things called exclusive rights. So you make any creative work, a poem, a book, a video, a picture, you have 4 specific rights. Let's see what I think those might be. All right, before I pull it up, Nick, give me one thought. What's one thing you think one might be?
Distribution.
Okay, distribution. Sounds pretty good. Okay, Jenna, what do you think? Give me one idea. What do you think?
To post?
Okay, to post or to publish, kind of thing. Okay, good. Let's see, Kaylee, what do you think? Give me one idea. Yes. Right, Kaylee, yeah. Kaylee. Ideas. Okay, let's see what we've got with some of your responses. Okay, Michaela tells us your right to publish for gains, redistribute, and change their work in any way. That sounds pretty good. Savannah has ownership, distribution, and revenue. We got a couple with distribution, editing, reproduction, right to edit, sell, adapt, change the design, sell it, publish it, reproduce it, sell it. Alter. Okay, so we got a lot of commonalities about publishing, selling it, modifying it, reproducing it, selling it, edit it. Okay, so we're going out a certain way. So let's see what those 4 specific things are according to the legal experts. Okay, so you guys are right on the money, a lot of those. So reproduce them. So you have the right to do this. So here's the thing. You create it, you can reproduce it if you want. Can I reproduce it? It's your exclusive rights. You have to give me rights to do that. So if I do that, then we got some problems. Display it publicly. This gets interesting. When we get into things like when I teach documentary class and someone's doing a documentary and they're showing some things in the background, you have to be careful about what you show because you can actually get into some copyright issues with what you display publicly. So you have to get some good feedback on that kind of thing. Here's a funny one that seems really odd, but it has to do with public performance or displaying it publicly. So you're driving down the road and you're belting out your favorite song at the top of your lungs that's playing. If we're really getting technical, that could be a public performance, right? Now there's no public performance police that's going to pull you over and say, hey, you paid the band. However, you might not have known this. So if you go to like a club and there's a band playing covers, there actually are people who go around and make sure that people are paying the proper, what they have to do. I can't remember what they call it exactly, to cover some songs. So if you're like in your apartment, you cover some songs, so it's going to happen. But in performances, there actually is, I see the whole documentary on that. So it's interesting. Okay. Distribute, copy, work them, sales, rental. There's nothing in here that says you have the right to make money off it. Certainly you can, but it's just because you make some doesn't mean you're going to make any money. But on the other hand, you certainly have the right to sell it once. You can, in fact, you can give it away. It's up to you. That's where it comes into play. You have the right to tell people they can use it, or you can give it away, but they don't have the right to take your stuff and give it away for you, because that's your right. That's your wish. Okay, so we get into this thing called fair use. Fair use is interesting. Who's heard of fair use? Okay, any ideas? I'll take on. Give me a take. Fair use. What's your take on?
You can use the content for your own purpose, provided it's changed enough or it's so agreed for it's clearly be used through the comments on it.
Okay, good. So it's got to have some specific parameters to it. So here's the common ones that are called. So criticism, that would be, not that you say this thing stinks, but it's like people who critique movies. They have a right to fair comment and criticism, so they can critique something, and they can show certain clips of it. Not everything, that gets a little tricky about that. So comment, news reporting, a little bit easier on copyright issues. Teaching, you go into classes, this is where it gets a little tricky because we do a lot of stuff in classes that if you're in the business world, you couldn't do. There's a gentleman that I worked with that he does a lot of presentation on copyright, and every PowerPoint now that he does, he opens with this comic that he got, and he had to pay like $500 to get the rights to use it in perpetuity. He used it forever. But because it cost him $500, he puts it in every slide presentation he does. So in education, interesting thing is if I want to use something like that over and over again, one time use is fine, but if I'm going to use it every year for whatever, then I need to actually work out some rights usage, which is interesting. And now that classrooms are not closed off like they once were, you walk into a classroom, nobody can ever see it, doesn't go online, it's much trickier now because we put stuff online and things that you would do normally without those parameters now. There are limits, and here's the deal. You want to make sure anytime you're doing some fair use, you're pretty much in the clear, or you've got some good consultation. Otherwise, there's lots of cases that go to court, and they're almost identical, and one won and one lost. It's like, what was the difference? There was one about using some clips from a movie, and one was about life of Muhammad Ali. One was very similar. One lost the case, and one won the case, and had to do with the heart of the work and all kinds of things that we go into here. But it can be a little bit of a tricky thing. So what I'm going to tell you about, so back before President Nelson said we're not going to use the term Mormons anymore, there was the film that came out, was 8 years ago or so, Meet the Mormons, the updated version. By the way, anybody see the old version of Meet the Mormons? It came out like 1960 something. I used it like as a film strip as a missionary, and it was dated then, right? It's like, yeah, the church has reached 3 million members. Oh, hey. Anyway, but this one, if you watch the first of it, it has some montage of how people perceive members of the church. It has a clip from South Park, has a clip from other places. And so I actually had a guest, the producer as a guest for class, and I asked him about that. And asked him if they, got the rights to those. He said, no, actually they went and used fair use because a couple things that he talked about. It's a derivative work. They weren't using it in the same way that the people who created those works were, is to show a point, some commentary on how people perceive members of the church. So through their legal counsel, they said it was okay. And so you used 5 or 6 clips for some pretty big time productions for these TV shows. Okay. But the main thing, anytime you do that, just make sure you've got some good feedback before you jump in. There are some things that work well, some that don't. So here's one that works. Here's an example for us. So you might do a review of a product or service as part of what you're doing for your topic. And so this is the specific example. You want to review a book, a new piece of technology, a new product, whatever it is. So you don't want a lousy picture. So you go to the website, say it's Amazon, and you right click, you download the picture, and then you post it on your website to show the product as you're talking about it. So a couple things will probably be in your favor where this would be okay. It's not a substitute for the actual product. The owner's rights will be minimally affected, and therefore user copyrighted image would likely be permitted under fair use. So that's probably going to be okay. Reviews and stuff like that. Had students who were really into sports, and they were thinking, okay, so I want to do this whole thing about the draft. And so I go to ESPN and they got all these pictures of all the people who were going to be top draft picks. And so you do that, you right click and you put them on your blog. That one probably not fair use because your use for those images is pretty much the exact same as what ESPN's website is using them for. So that's probably not going to fly, so I wouldn't do that. But if it's something like this where you're taking a piece of software, a certain camera that you are trying out, so you take it from the manufacturer side, it's going to be okay. Now, if you try and sell the picture and do other things like that, which you probably wouldn't, right? And that would probably fall in. And what I always do if I do something like that, say this is from some restaurant's website and I'm critiquing their lovely French toast, I'm going to give a link back to where that came from, so everybody knows where it came from. So a couple of things you can do if you're doing the critique of the French toast at the restaurant. You can definitely take a picture of yourself. Now, that's a rhetorical question. Can you Google images and use any image that fits your content? Everyone should say, no, you can't do that. Because somebody took them. They belong to somebody, so we can't just take them. So we know that. It's called stealing. So it's stealing. We don't want to do that. Okay, so it's not a free repository. So you can take your own. So if you're doing the French toast, go to a restaurant, take your own picture. Or if there's something that you would like to use and it's applicable to whatever you're talking about and it works, then they've, in the last 5-6 years, all these websites have really popped up and they offer you free images. Most of them just want you to give attribution. Some of them don't require it. They just say, just be nice and attribute it. For us, for what we do, I want you to attribute every image that you use. So here's the basic thing. Most of them, like Pexels and Pixabay, you click on the download and it gives you a copy and paste. It gives you the exact link to go for back to the image where it came from. So it looks something like that. So you can use those. Main thing for this class now, just a reminder, for some other class like in visual and everything else, if you use one of these stock images, they'll get beaten up, they'll get an F. So those are those classes. For this class, you can use some of these things. But I just require that you're properly attributed. And the other thing with stock images, you gotta pick and choose wisely because the same thing, really good stock images get used a lot. And make sure it's applicable to whatever you're talking about. So it's just a wallpaper, just throw it in. So here's a few, there's some more. I put this on here. Anybody use any different ones? You know, any other stock image places that you use? You can throw those in there. The ones are off the top of your head. These are the best. These are some. More pop up all the time. Do check. Some do require some attribution, some don't. So just double check on it. For our class, I always require it. So just double check on that. There's the attribution. Okay, couple last things on this one. So, you know, in school, if you copy and pasted someone's paper and you turn it in, that's called plagiarism. That's not good. So, on the lower end of things, you get a bad grade or you get an F. Really, on the big end of things, you get kicked out of school because they're really egregious. So, for us, we just want to be good stewards and not look like we're trying to steal somebody else's stuff. I had an experience where my former department chair went to a workshop with this, it was a big conference, and someone was doing a workshop on journalism. And as he's there watching, this woman takes and goes to a website that he'd created about ethics in journalism, and she's using all his stuff, but she never once cited him or said it was for him, right? So afterwards, of course, he just smiled, went up and shook her hand and introduced himself, and she, of course, was greatly embarrassed because she was going to use it. But number one, she should have asked him in a presentation like that, and then at least give him credit for it, right? So that's bad. Bad form, she put herself in a bad spot. So think about that. You create stuff. You want other people to credit you when you've done some stuff. So for us, I require you to cite things, but don't worry about doing it like APA or EMA and that kind of thing. So for example, this stuff comes from this source. So when you do like a blog post, then the way I'd like you to do it is as close to whatever the resource is to put an in-text link like this. So some people like to put them all at the bottom of the page. The only problem with that is I don't know exactly what it's connected to. So as much as you can, so if we get this up, where did it come from? So we can actually click on it and go directly to that source. This does a couple of things. As you're getting into the community, whatever your topics is about, backlinks are a big deal. If you link to other people's stuff, oftentimes they may link back to you, and that increases your search engine optimization. So you become part of the community. So you never want to try and sneakily do something. Most of the time, you don't need to ask somebody's permission to link to their stuff. But again, you don't want to just copy paste all their stuff. So just like a research paper or anything else, you're going to take snippets so you get a source of where did it come from. And that's part of what we're doing with your topic. You don't have to be the perfect expert, but you're trying to become a great resource for it. So the way to legitimize it is to put sources to legitimate sources. When you do research and you're talking about whatever your topic is, then that's a great way and one that we're going to work on to make sure that you're a legitimate source that's recognized. Okay, last couple things. You can quote stuff. If you do, wrap it in quotes. Make sure you link to the source. We just talked about this. I think the original source is the best. Just make it clear. Here's the thing. Make it clear that the content is from someone else and you're not trying to pass it off as your own. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to do that. Okay. Again, it's just good practice. Yeah, you want other people to give you credit for whatever you do. You want to give credit. Okay. Choose an option on here. Is royalty-free music free? Yes or no? Or is this a trick question here? Is royalty-free music free? Now you're thinking, this is interesting. It says it's free. Is it free? I don't know. So let's see. We got some yeses, we got some nos, we got two trick questions. Thanks, Brandon. Jenna. Maybe it is. I don't know. Okay, let's see. So, Savannah, you say yes. Give me your thoughts. Why do you think that's so?
YouTube has a free music section for videos that you can add.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so YouTube does have a free thing. So the question is that royalty free? Good question. Okay. Emma, two Emmas and Emmas. Emma Smith, you say no. Why do you say yes so?
I just wanted to go against what I thought would be the popular.
It's like multiple choice. Okay, okay. That's as good as guess as any. Let's talk about that. This one gets tricky because it says it's free, but the reality is it's not free. It's royalty free. What's a royalty? My idea is what's a royalty? Heard of royalties? What is that?
Isn't it like a card or some sort of thing you have to pay?
Okay. Yeah, or pay or receive, right? Receive. Who else raise your hand on this royalty thing? Yeah.
You have to pay a fee to use some of these stuff. That's called royalties. So you can get paid royalties for being in a commercial or using songs.
Yeah, royalties typically work like this. Say, where that's used a lot is in authorship. So you write a book, and say the publisher gives you 10 grand. They say, okay, great, that's your starting point, and then we're going to give you a royalty for every book that's sold, and it's whatever 6%, 10%, whatever you work out. So what that means is it's royalty. You get royalties, or you pay royalties every time you use a piece of music or whatever it is. You pay a royalty. So what royalty free means typically is you pay once, and then you have the rights to use it after that. Okay.
What's like the drive for an artist to release royalty-free music?
So it's usually not an artist. It could be. Most of that usually falls under Creative Commons, but there are some. You have a thought on that?
I follow a musician who releases all of his stuff copyright and royalty free, and it gets reused all over YouTube. And so if anybody's like, yo, this song's great, who is this? Oh, this guy makes a ton of music, and I can use it all the time, and you get a ton of traffic from people going to your sites, going to your place to listen to you. And if you happen to like his music, then he sells other stuff. But all the stuff it's free, so it drives traffic back to him because, oh, let me subscribe to this music.
Yeah. So it's got to have a model. Sometimes that'll work. Got to get a lot of traffic to make money that way. Or someone will put a portion of it out there and say, if you like this, here's the pay version of it, and you can pay for it that way. So those are some of the reasons. There's this other thing we'll talk about in a minute called Creative Commons. But bottom line is there's a lot of sites out there now that have royalty-free music, actually stuff. So royalty-free just means you don't pay for it to get it again. You might pay for it once. There's also some other stuff that's stock and it's free for you to use with attribution typically. Here's the deal. Usually quality is the big differentiation. There are some that's really great stuff and this free for use. Most of the time, then you'll see or hear the same stuff over and over again because it's the free that's pretty good. But then there's this tier that's not free. And so, if you ever watch local television, you'll see commercials that have the same couple of songs all the time because they're pretty good. But the dentist office has it, the lawyer has it. It's like, wait, I heard this music before. So that's the problem. Okay, so royalty-free music. So it's not free. Oftentimes you pay for it. So here's the bottom line. If you did create something, either get permission before using it, make sure you have permissions. Creative Commons, a little bit different thing. So Creative Commons is simply this. We're the Commons, and we're creative. So if we want to share stuff, we can, and you can share it under Creative Commons license. So say all of us created some music, we post it on the website, there's lots of those that will let you share your music. You can decide how you want it shared under these Creative Commons licensing. Like this one says, the circle with the line through it, you can't sell it, so they don't want you to just take my music and you sell and make money off it. But you can reuse it in another project, and the equal sign usually share and share alike. So if you use it, you can't now say, no one else can use this, you gotta let other people use it as well. So that's Creative Commons. I don't see as many people use this as much anymore because in the last 4 or 5 years, there's a lot more sites out there that have good music that are actually production oriented that have a certain level that are freebie that you can use. So for this class, I'm not too concerned about it being the best music because there's lots of stuff out there, or the best photos or whatever else. But know this, that as you work, professionally, you either start getting people to take them for you, or you pay a fee to get really good photos. You'll notice if you go to any of those sites like PicJumbo, they'll have on top, they'll have these are the freebies. Then you click down some really good ones, but these are the iStock photos. Other ones that actually can cost you $1,600 for a photo, whatever it is. Okay, last thing on this one, best practices. If you use somebody's work, these are the things that typically you want to include: the title, author, source, license, TASL. So just to properly attribute it. So it's a little acronym, TASL, TASL, just to make sure if you have any question, that would be a great way to source content. That you have the rights to use. Just to show that you have got private permissions. Okay, that was quick. That's exciting. Do you have any questions about copyright? Yes.
So, what if you took the picture of someone and you want to post it? Do you have to have their permission, right, to be able to post it?
Typically, so here's the deal. It varies on what you're doing. So I'm doing something for the Scroll newspaper, and I'm downtown, and you're at the Christmas tree lighting, and you happen to be my picture. Typically, to be nice, we tell you, hey, this is going to be in the newspaper. But because you're in a public place, I don't have to, especially if you're more in a group. Or if I kind of center on you, you're there looking to light the tree, and it's got a picture of you, I should probably ask you and get your name. Okay, but now, here's the difference. So I want to use you as an ad. right? So now I get your picture, and now you're lighting the tree, and I'm saying to think how this could be good or bad. So 1 out of people's 5 people wishes come true when they wish for a tree. That's okay. What about 1 out of people at this time of year gets a sexually transmitted disease, and then you're the face of that, right? You would not like that. In fact, right? So at that point, you could actually sue them and probably win because that's libelous. They just pictured you in connection with something else. So, and then if they want to use it in a commercial, they should definitely not only get your permission, but have you sign something and compensate you, or you say yes. So those are the differences. So news journalist is different, but typically if it's a big crowd shot, we don't worry about it. If it's somewhere I'm featuring you, I should ask you and let you know, at least give you permission. I don't technically have to, but it's just good practice. So you're not doing something somebody hates.
I have a question. So at us last semester we talked about how as part of the agreement to be a student here at BOA, you might sign up on being able to be within projects, do projects with other kind of projects that could then be submitted. Now, I'm not saying that I wouldn't want to get permission from folks, because I think that is probably the right thing to do when I did that in my film classes. But is that a thing? Is that really?
Yeah, that is the. But usually, that's typically it's for the university. So, if you're not doing a student film, that would fall outside of that. You need to know. Most public schools have a thing like that. So, if you're at the basketball game and you show up on the local TV news, then they've already done a thing. Or if somebody does a feature about your school, that changed a little bit for kids in grade school, but usually the parent has to sign that. So if they come and do a story about the DARE assembly, then all the students have their parents. Then it actually puts the onus back on the parents. They say, no, I'm not going to do that, but then you make sure the child's not in the DARE assembly to get the picture. Now, it does get a little tricky that way. If you ever go outside and you got little kids playing in the little play area for the preschool, there's big signs, don't take pictures because they're reminders. It gets a little tricky, but it's good to be aware. That's why we talk about it just a little bit. This is clearly not a comprehensive class, but to always make sure when you're doing anything that's creative, especially when you're doing something for a big class project, or when you get into business, you do it for somebody else, make sure you have the rights to that. And I had a couple of bad experiences with a few students who did something and then they walked away from an internship and all the work they'd done was work that they couldn't use anyway because they all used copyrighted material and never had the rights to it. And so that person doesn't come to us with insurance anymore. So we don't want that. And certainly we don't want that to you where you get blacklisted. It's something you should have. Okay, here's our next bit. We're going to work on blog posts and key headlines and keywords. So we're going to take the topics that you've been working on and we're going to turn them into some things we can work with. Okay, so this is the deal. For this assignment, we're going to come up with your topics, which you already have. Then we're going to do subtopics. So one of the goals for today is come up with 5 subtopics of your main topic that could be blog posts. That will also turn into other things. Okay, so we're going to work on that. And then headlines for those blog posts. So we've got some research we can do with Google search trends and other things to find some keywords. So that's going to be part of the assignment, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is, no, we don't have everybody here today, but as much as you can, I want you to catch up with your group mates. 2 things, because we're going to go work in a group towards your group project here in a minute. Do you remember who's in your group? Recollections? Do you need to put up the list so you can find everybody? Or do you remember there? You put up the list, okay. Let me put up the list of everybody. And we'll let you get together. Then once we get this up, I'll have you look at this assignment. Okay, here we go. Here are our teams. Okay. And we need a group 1. Raise your hands right up there. Group 1. Can you see yourselves? Group 1. Julia, Sarah, Bryn, Savannah, Emma. Okay, you guys need to get together. You decide. Look like you're spread out all over the place. Group 2 is Kate, Sharon, Callie, Tessa, and David. A few people aren't here in that group. Group 3, Jenna, Kennedy, Nick, Michaela, and Kelly. Group 4, you guys will see Group 4. Raise your hands. There we go. Group 4 is Taylor, Brinley, Ashley, Anna, and Harrison. Group 5, see everybody. Colby, Ashley, Sadie, Kaylee, and Tuesday. Okay, get in your groups, say hi to each other, and then we'll come back and we'll start working on this. If we do it right, then you'll have a good part of this assignment done before you leave class today, or at least have a good idea.
How's it going? It's like that, right? Yeah. Get a whole
Okay, as you're getting together, let me explain what we're doing here. So you've got your topic you've come up with. You've come up with your mission statement. So why don't you in your group share 5 potential blog post topics. So if my topic is, better eating to get healthy, whatever. So now I want some subtopics. So these would be, bite-sized that you could do a blog post. It's about 1,000 words. So it's a substantial one. So now I'm going to look at, one of the ones I could do on is how to eat healthy on a budget. I'm going to do one on, 5 things everyone should have in their fridge to stay healthy or whatever it is. You decide those subtopics. So what I do is have you share it with your group, give each other some feedback and any ideas that you have. And once you share yours, type in just one of your blog topic ideas here so we kind of look and see what people are doing. Okay? So I'm going to start my clock. We're going to take about 5 minutes. And so go ahead and chat.
I like how mobile one like the very first thing we did.
Pokemon?
I really like something completely different, and I see about healthy diets sustain shape for gym goers. So I feel like something
I'm pretty sure like
how to eat.
Ooh, I have an
How to
idea.
what to
Questions could help
we
you?
have, yes, we each have our own topics.
Yeah, each have your own topic.
eat.
Yeah, you each have your own topic, then you share your potential ideas. Throughout as many as you can.
Diets, different types of diets, cost effective, or it could be for a certain like what is the certain area of your body.
Already are.
Yeah, I'm thinking about right now. I'll delete these so there's only one.
Isn't that for like
Yeah.
Alexis versus food.
I think that'd be great.
So like you're saying minimalistic and like what else? What I originally had,
I think that would be great to think about the different types of people you want. Like, create like we're doing like target audience stuff, and you're thinking like, okay, newlyweds usually or young adults who have their own place who want to decorate and have like I don't know $500 expendable budget, and then within that there'd be a bunch of subcategories. Like just now, I was like, dang, I would love some tips, but like, would she even have anything for like a guy? I don't care about drapes. I just want like blackout curtains, and lights everywhere, like RGB. Yeah, build a handful of profiles and be like, guys, you need these 5 tips to improve your thing, or whatever. And I'm like, oh shoot, you can buy extra chairs even if you're not sitting in one. That's crazy, So I think that would be great. Just think of like micro audiences within your 18 to 25 has an apartment, had all that stuff. That'd be sweet. And then you just think up 30 of those and crank out some blog posts. And then you link me to the ones, said that.
That's like, that has like,
I like the social media marketing. So it's like how to bring
there's
like after wording of that,
like
but that's the
so like my topic is
oh wait, I know exactly.
and then content creation.
But basically just like
How many days? I don't know if I should do that before the probably. Probably after. What are the best? Those are the
yeah.
Is this like
what are
sentence?
No.
Yeah.
You can check still have that. Some of it I'm probably gonna change because some of it I like
Really, I love it.
but I don't know if I can write like 1,000 words out. So that's why I like You can change your whole topic if you want. And kind of in order to
So,
how
I don't know, all the ones that I did were like, 5 ways to
What
make better
to-
photos. 3 ways to make your iPhone photos better.
Absolutely.
But how do I come up with a topic that's like 5 ways to do a question mark to do that?
Instead of having like an
Yeah, those.
Doesn't give them
Yeah.
and then you're getting subtopics from them.
Just having an FAQ section with little questions exactly for that. Give them all those questions people might want to know really fast. Like, oh, I have full posts and pictures and links and kickbacks and ads and everything. Take advantage of that.
Like when we send them out, like people know what they're getting into when they're reading it. They're going to read about these 5 things. Yeah, I think that's what I've done.
5 yet, but I'm doing one video gaming stuff and more in depth about certain focus on.
All right, no fire. Just
Well, they're going to be brief.
Hey, make sure if you haven't already, type in one of your blog post ideas on there. Let's check them out. They're going through, and then we'll move on to our next part of this one. So let's see what we got.
More about the art and why a game is fun to play.
All right, let's see how lighting
example,
subtly
how lighting
guides the player. All right.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to be Jeff Colby, but that sounds good. Michaela, we got about photos, 5 ways. We got 5 editing, 5 ways. Good numbers. We're going to talk about those today. Nick, 5 things to know that'll help you understand football. Diets that are cost effective to lose weight. Nice. 5 tips and tools that take infections on yourself. Essential clothing pieces, transitioning from winter to spring, assuming that will ever happen. I was on the middle list of home on a budget. Market trends, random market, cheap date nights. Good. Plot diagram characters. Okay. Good. Be very specific. That's great. What is it between macro, micro, photography? More college students will even know we'll go to Beijing. And Jim's getting my social media market. We'll check that one. Especially in the workplace. Okay, good. Okay, good. The only thing I want to see a lot, which is great, is a lot of very specific things. That's good. Because we don't want to be too general. Then if we're too general, then it can cause us to either write very little or very much. Because we're trying to explain too much. So we pick a good niche that fits 5 minutes. These look pretty good. Very nice. Okay, so let's take the next step in here. So you've got now some subtopics. So the next thing we want to do is this. So we're going to go through. I pulled some from a gentleman who did a lot of great work on how-to headlines. So all headlines actually. A lot of times you think, formulas, it's all the same. It's like people going in, but no, they're all cookie cutter houses. Well, that's all good and well. But here's the deal. If there's a formula that works, and it works a lot, almost all the time, then it's okay to use it. So here's some good things that we do. So how-to headlines, called the granddaddy of them all, kind of like the Rose Bowl, right? Granddaddy of them all. So it works to get our attention. The basic promise of the how-to headline is click me and I'm going to teach you something useful. What you think about when you go to Google a lot of times, you want to know how to do something, how to cook a turkey, how to da-da-da. And so the main thing is here is having the right keywords and getting to your audience. So here's a couple of examples. Again, this just says, it's really simple, and you might think, oh, it's so simple, why should you do this? But again, because people look for this, so say you're doing how to create a social media marketing plan. Okay, that's your goal. How to build a sales machine that works while you sleep. Oh, that sounds good. How to make lavender lemonade to get rid of headaches and anxiety. Okay. That sounds good. If I got headaches and anxiety, that sounds great. So how-tos. So this is what I want you to do with yours. Oh, by the way, there's another one. How to be something. How to be interesting. That's a little bit broad. But how to be more productive on social media. How to be unforgettable. So that might go on cheap dates. Okay. So here's what I'd have you do. In your group, let's get past this one. Write a how-to headline for your topic. Don't stress if it's perfect. Put it in the text box. Some of you are already pretty particular. Here's a couple things I want you to think about. For this assignment, do some further research. What are some keywords that show up all the time when you're looking up your topic? What are people looking for? That'll also help you. If someone's typing in how to, something about your topic, what is it? That's going to catch their attention. So it's the anxiety thing, when I look up a lot of things about anxiety and depression, people are looking for how diets and things that will help them out. So how to change your diet to overcome anxiety and depression might be one that will open that, because it's hitting those key words, anxiety, depression, and diet, if those are the ones that show up. Okay. So pop one in there. Let's see what you got. Okay, it's definitely nothing wrong if it works, if it gets people's attention, gets them to click. Then I have this rule of thumb. People talk about clickbait all the time. It's only clickbait if when they click, it doesn't fulfill the promise that you made. If you promise something, 5 weird ways to overcome anxiety, and it's just, garbage, then, I'm never going back to that again. And the weird ways thing has kind of gone away, thank goodness. Every other ad on the site used to say, 5 weird tricks. So, how to make dinner in under 15 minutes. Good. All right. And Bryn, one other thing I want you to think about is your target audience. So, Bryn, who are you targeting? College students. So I might even put that, how to make, how a college student can make dinner in under 15 minutes. Or, particularly, then you're actually getting even deeper because, I might Google how to make dinner in under 15 minutes. But man, that's really broad in that I could get stay-at-home dads, stay-at-home moms, like, whoever. So think about that, or just think about your how-to. Can you also include something that's going to hook your key target in there? Okay, same thing, Ashley, how to find your personal style. Who's your target? Okay, so let me get just your personal style. For me, I can see that. If I click on it, I was like, oh, no, this is not for me, right? Okay, so think about how you can incorporate maybe somehow to put that target audience into that with your personal style. And then see also with the personal style, when you look at the keywords, what are some things that come up all the time? Is it, pants, dresses, cuts? What is it that kind of falls in there? So it even narrows it down more so it really appeals to that target audience that you're looking for. Okay, same thing, how to understand the plot diagram. So if I already know, I'm in your target audience, Savannah, I would know what that means, but you might even target that even a little bit more. How to have fun with your friends in Rexburg, that's pretty targeted because we got Rexburg, and you might even, if you're talking about college students, how to have fun with your BYO friends in Rexburg or something like that. That's going to get 2 keywords in there because if it's really targeted to college students, with them, I think it is, right, college students? How to decorate your home after Christmas and before spring. Same thing, I won't go through each one of these, but think about who it is you're talking to, and is this for grandmas? Is it for young marrieds? Is this for guys who want to decorate their home for Christmas and before spring? I'm guessing it's not, but it could be, so just make sure you find out. There's how to develop effective product instruction design for budding creators. Okay, actually get to budding creators, where's that at? That's good. How to manage, understand your internal clock, how to pose to look confident in your next Instagram post. Oh, very interesting. All right, how to set your Sony camera correctly for macro photography. Okay, good. And I'm guessing, Kennedy, if they're looking for macro, it's either probably not complete beginners, right?
Probably not, but maybe.
Okay. So, you might want to decide on that one. So, if I'm looking at that, then, I might think, macro, especially if I don't know what it was, but your whole thing is the macro, micro photography. So think about who it is you're talking to, how to set up your Sony camera for macro photography.
Usually if they're shooting on a Sony, they're not big beginners.
Yeah, so that's what, if depending on who it is, and so you might even, how to set up your Sony camera for professional macro photography, if that's your target audience you're going for. Because that would speak to me. It's like, oh, this is not beginner. This is for those guys. So you decide whoever it happens to be. Because then it really speaks to me. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna, hey, this could be helping me. Or if it's a beginner, I don't know what that is. Okay, how to keep your room neat and tidy. Same thing. How to intelligently watch football. Nick, is that possible? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think so.
I scream and yell and see, that doesn't work very much.
It depends.
Okay. Good. So same thing, I'll go through, look through and think about your specific persona. So can you include them in your persona? How to lose weight while saving money. So who is that? Is it a college student? Is it middle age? So think about, okay, how to lose weight? Who am I and why am I trying to find this? And there's something else in there that's going to connect with that target audience. Okay, and Lupe, I think yours is for students, right? Lupe, students, right?
Yes.
So, I didn't include that. Somewhere I put that as your student travel, how to find effective engagement. If you've got people who are already on your site, that makes sense, but we're trying to gain awareness right now So if someone's just searching and it shows up in the SEO, we need to make sure we have those keywords in there because right now they don't know if that's for them yet. If they're on your site and they already know that, we've already got them, but we haven't captured them yet. So we got to figure out how to get them there. These are great. Okay, good job. These are nice and nice. Okay, next step. Okay, a lot of you already did this one. These are lists. So rivaling headlines are popular, are list-based headlines. You see those all the time. By the way, after talking about this today, go and do a search and you're going to see these two over and over and over again. So some of the biggest sites on the web are built on list posts called listicles. You'll see them, 5, 10 best things, whatever it happens to be. They're very digestible, highly efficient, good way to organize information. Think about this, if you got 5 ways to do whatever, then you've already pretty much got your blog post organized. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put them down in paragraphs, and you're ready to roll. Okay. We know the intentions up front. I'll make X points and then finish so we know how good it is. And a built-in topic list on this one. So on the surface, you think this is going to turn people off, but most people are okay with that because they're looking for something that promises 5 or 7 ways to do something. Now, I wouldn't suggest 51 unless you really know your audience and 51 is really going to work. But most of us, 50 ways to lose weight on a diet. 50 ways. I want 2 or 3. I want 1. I don't want 50 ways. So kind of, with your audience. This one's an example the author gives. 7 ways to buy an engagement ring. Would probably flop because guys don't want that many options. I don't want 7 options to buy a ring. I just want one. So here's some examples. 5 ways to use web analytics for better content marketing. 3 ways to rethink the fun of your bad. 7 ways to increase your click-through rate on Twitter. So based on what we talked about, come up with a list that's got a number in it. 3 ways, 5 ways. The number doesn't always have to be front. It could be dieting 5 ways, whatever it is, but you can incorporate it. And think about your persona again. Can you incorporate that into this headline that's going to be a really, remember when we're browsing, these are the scroll stoppers. Someone's going through and they hit this headline. We'll also hopefully have a good graphic that will catch their eye, but man, this is really going to do it. So let's go ahead and write one list headline for your topic. One list headline for your topic. Let's see what you got. Okay, you're still tired of this with the show. Let's scroll through. Okay, good. That's a good one. 5 places to make friends and expert for young adults. That's good. Okay. 5 tips and tools for being avenues to use. 3 ways to improve your efficiency in your office workspace. Ways to decorate your shelves for Christmas. 3 and 5. Those are pretty good, by the way. They're kind of odd, the 3 and the 5s. 2 ways doesn't work well. 1 way. Why are we told us 1 way? That one we'd use a different one. Say the way, the only way, right? Remove a stain from the carpet. 5 is subject to the photograph of the macro. 5 ways to make your story. Great. 3 ways to decorate your minimalist home on a budget. 3 meals to make under $5. It's McDonald's. That's not good. Okay, good. Okay, so these are helpful. What I find is these are very helpful. You might not use the first one you come up with. Man, these can be really helpful as you're putting your blog post together. Okay, we're going to do one more here. Actually, we won't type this one in, but let's look at this one. So under the assignment, and I'll show you that in just a minute, this one's called bonus hack headlines, and there's some simple things like this, like the ultimate guide. You see these all the time. So a few quick bits of information might be nice, but what if you have the ultimate guide or something like that? So on our assignment, I've got more complete, these little PowerPoint in there that'll give you more ideas. But the ultimate guide to social media image sizes. Now, anytime you put the ultimate guide, it's got to be pretty good. Because it's the ultimate guide, right? I've downloaded a couple of ultimate guides, like, this one page is really the ultimate guide. Probably not. So, again, you got to promise. So, always under promise and over deliver. Make sure that whatever you say they're going to get, it's going to be better than what they expected. Otherwise, if it's worse than what they expect, you know how that goes. Going to restaurants, everyone talks about it, and you go eat there, it's like, eat. But if you go in there and people say, that's pretty good, and you go, that's great, you say, wow, that was better than I expected. That's good. Okay, let me go to this assignment and tell you a little bit about it. So let's just run through, make sure we've got enough time so I can tell you what we're doing this week. So there's a quiz here on what we talked about copyright. Here's the same presentation we looked at, except it's only got the sun and no bird here, so I'm sorry about that. So some questions you can answer. You can look over the presentation before you answer them. They're all things we just talked about in class today. Okay, keyword strategy and headlines. So in this one, just what we're doing just now, we found about some tools like Google Trends and other things. So here's what I'd have you do for this assignment. So I'll get right down here, just the explanation that I've already been telling you. Here's the how-to headlines. You click through those. Here's the list headlines. You click through that one, the bonus headlines, and go through and review these. So once you come up, you know what your topic is. So this topic here is your subtopic, just like the ones we were looking at today. And then what I'd have you do, I'm zooming in so you can see this put it back there, is do your Google Trends research. I want you to find 3 keywords that show up all the time under this topic. And I want you to put those here. And then for the first one, I want you to create a how-to headline. Okay. Then this would be 5 individual different blog posts you're working on. This doesn't necessarily mean you're going to do these, but ones you're working on to help you out. Put your second topic here. So again, if it's something about good nutrition, put the second one here. 3 keywords. Now, here's where it might get a little tricky. You don't have to have 3 different keywords for each one, but they probably all shouldn't be the exact same either. Right? So if you're doing something on vegan diets, that might show up every time. But depending on your topic here, there probably needs to be at least 1 different keyword because you're going to take on a different topic under yourself. If that makes sense. And these keywords, our hope is try and work those in somehow, at least one of them into your topic up here, because that's what people are looking for. They're seeing it come up all the time. When I say keyword, remember, it's not just a word, it can be a phrase. Something that people are looking for. So on this one, I'll have you create 2 how-to headlines for 2 different potential topics. Then I'll have you create 2 list headlines with 2 different potential topics. Again, with keywords. Again, they could have some duplication here, not coming up with brand new keywords all the time. And then the last one is a bonus one. We didn't talk much about that, but go through the slides and it'll show you a variety of different bonus type headlines that you can create. These are the more kind of just creative types that you can kind of figure out. And this one has another component to it. So I want you to go ahead and post these as early as you can. Then go through and for at least 3 of your classmates, check them out and give them some feedback. And when I say feedback, it doesn't have to be like 5 pages or even a couple of paragraphs. But more than, that's nice, I really like it. So what is it about that works? They're saying, hey, that actually would really catch my attention and here's why. Just something about it. And it also helps you to see what other people write to give you more ideas about what you can do as well. So with that in mind, then you'll have at least the headline and hopefully a basic outline of some topics we want to write about coming up. Okay, so that's that assignment. Okay, so let's get this one. So for ease, this isn't the most beautiful, but it's very easy to use. We're going to use a web service called Substack because it lets us do a lot of things. Anybody ever used Substack before? Yeah. It's really easy to use, not overly complex. It does give you a lot of variety in fonts and things like that, but that's okay because that's not what we're doing. So I want you to create one, and we'll host a blog stuff there. There are a couple graphics you'll need, and we'll talk about that next week. So here's the requirement for that one. Write a brief 1 to 2 paragraph description of your content topic. You can put that on your about page. So here's a Substack I made just for this class. Let me go to this one here. So this is the basic what it looks like, and you've got some logos here that you can create. So see up on top, one of the defaults is an about. So under here, write a couple of paragraphs on what your topic is all about. So if someone outside was looking at this for the first time, this is what you're going to find on this website. So all this cool information about macro photography or diets or fashion, whatever it happens to be. So put that on this one. And the other requirement, I'm just going to have you put a template placeholder post where you put a blog post. All I need in that is a title, and you can even put placeholder title, doesn't matter. And an image, just so you just have set it up. We're going to replace that. So create a post on this one. Let me go back here. So say this is the one. So this is obviously a full blog post. If you have a title and an image, that's good enough for this one. Okay, just a placeholder, just so you have it set up. And then we'll get into more depth of it later. So that's assignment. So you just turn it, whoa, look here. So your website for this one's really easy. yoursitename.substack.com. So whatever you do, whatever you're doing, photography, fashion, writing tips, incorporate that into your headline, into your URL. So macrophotography.substack.com, or whatever it is. If it's already taken, just figure something out that's kind of close. And that's what you're doing. It should look just like that. Yoursitename.substack.com. Just like this one here. So mine here, DMCC 320, Digital Media Content Creation 320, Substack. Okay, last thing we'll talk about as far as assignments go. Everyone on campus has free access to LinkedIn Learning, the university. So we're going to do a couple of things through there. One, we're going to work on this is a photography foundation. I really like this one. It does go through using your cell phone, but all the principles would work on a DSLR or anything else. So if you're more advanced with photography, it'll give you some basics. If you're really advanced, you already know a lot of things, so it'll be a good just a review for you. You'll probably be able to work through it in a couple of minutes. These are the only ones I want you to do. It's a much longer lesson. Basic introduction, here's some basics, shooting hazards, and that kind of thing. So go through that. And then there's a quiz associated back with it on campus after you do it. And everything we do here is open books. You can have the lesson open as you go through and do it. It's only up to you. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next week. Okay. So I'm going to want to get the group presentation, so I have a little bit of time in the class today. So there we go. So basic assignments, come up with those headlines, keywords, put those in, and then the last one I just talked about, the LinkedIn Learning, and set up your website on Substack. Okay, any questions on any of those? We'll talk more about Substack. I like because it lets us do a lot of things, newsletters and podcasts. We won't use it for all this. Okay, you've been assigned to a small group. Put your hand, but we're missing a few people. So the idea on this one is we're going to research and prepare a presentation on a social media platform. So it's got two purposes. We want to help everybody become better users of the platform by learning how it can be used in content marketing. But we're also going to practice doing an effective webinar, a live remote webinar. Okay, so those are our two parts. So let's be informative. For this class, and what we'll do in 2 weeks, we're going to do this. We'll do a remote class. Hopefully it's not 40 below. But you'll present, and everyone will have about 10 minutes. Okay, we need to be pretty precise, otherwise you're running out of time. Okay, so here's the specific requirements. More than 8, less than 10. Looks professional. Needs to use some sort of presentation software. And you definitely want to attribute everything you give us. So all the research you do, you want to attribute. Make sure. I want to be able to go to your presentation and be able to go back and find all the sources that you listed so I can go and get help with those. Okay. So these are the things I want you to focus on. So again, you don't have a lot of time, so you can't go too in depth. Talk about posting and sharing on the platform. Are there any specifics other than just go publish? Other things you should know? Size of images, things like that. Okay, this is the biggie. Demographics of users of the platform. So who's using this? Male, female, demographic as far as money, how much they make, all that kind of stuff. So we have a better idea of it. How are marketers using this platform? What are they doing with training? If you can pay for advertising and boosting, how much does it cost? And what's your reach? What can you do with that? And then any tips and tools you find useful. Do they have metrics or analytic tools? So how do you know who's actually looking at your post, that kind of thing? Share with some information about that. Some have a lot of plugins and apps, some don't, so depending on what platform you get, you can choose that. Then any recommendation on how it should be used for content marketing. You can maybe find a case study, somebody's using it really well, somebody's used TikTok fantastically, and you tell us about it. Okay, so we're going to do this over Zoom. So one group member is going to be assigned as the presenter. So if you're the presenter, I'll make you a co-host, and then you're in charge. You should have those slides ready to roll, and we'll share your screen and share this. Have one group member turn in that. So if it's a Google slide, give you the link. If it's a PowerPoint, then upload or whatever it is. But only one of your group members needs to do that. Just make sure they do. Don't forget to assign somebody to do that. Okay. Here's a couple of tips on this one I suggest. So we've got pretty much 5 people in each group. What you don't have to do, you got 8 to 10 minutes. Not every person has to be on camera talking. Okay. Usually what happens when that happens, you get together, say you do this, and everyone comes up with their stuff. And typically, it's kind of like church. The first person goes longer than they're supposed to. Then the second person panics. They go longer. By the third person, you're never going to get everything in 8 to 10 minutes. So now you're panicked. It's like, oh no. And then, but we will shut it off at 10 minutes because we got to get everybody on right time, just like a real webinar. So I suggest this. Get together, decide what you're going to do. Maybe pick 1 or 2 people to be the presenters. Just because I don't see you on camera doesn't mean you didn't get points. It doesn't matter, right? We'll just make sure you contribute to the presentation. You can have somebody in charge. We want to make it interactive, but we only have 60 minutes, so it's not like you can throw a question out there and then wait for a lot of responses. It's going to waste too much time. So let's use the chat feature. You can throw out a question, say, hey, everybody, you're talking about Facebook. Everybody use Facebook for this. Give me some things. And people can type in the chat. And one of your group members be in charge of that. Then you'll come back and say, okay, it looks like 5 people said this, and you can make it interactive that way without taking a lot of excessive time and having us interact with you. That's one of the goals, is getting your audience to interact.
To make it interactive, could we also do something in our code, like raise your hand and blah blah blah?
You could. Yeah, you could. And the hard part is, it's in Zoom, so seeing everybody and all that kind of thing, it's going to be a problem. Because it's going to be a webinar. So that's why you might usually want to use the chat. So instead of doing that, hey, everybody's done this, type yes. See all that? Yeah, we got it. Or no, then you got it really quick. So you got to figure it out. I got a lot better at Zoom during COVID, because at first, okay, then we just use the chat. Hey, everybody say it, just like raise your hand. Say yes, and then it's like, oh. No, you said no, why'd you say? Okay. Well, however you want to do it, I suggest that, and then have it timed out. Have somebody actually time it out and keep track of your time so you're right on time. Again, part of the goal is an effective webinar that's done in a certain amount of time, but also communicates some information. If you've ever gone and attended a webinar, it always makes me laugh, because a lot of times I go to watch a webinar, and it's all about people who should know how to do this, because that's what the webinar is about. They have audio problems, and they've got weird problems. Oh, I forgot to do this. And so it's like, okay, we don't want to have any of those issues. Okay, so here's the deal. We've got a couple minutes left. Here's our groups. Here are the list of platforms that I've listed as the main ones. So here's where it gets the roll of the dice, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to ask one from each of the group to give me a number. There are 5 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've secretly coded a number. So in other words, if I say, Sheridan, give me a number, and you give me number 4 will correspond with picking first, second, third, or fourth, or fifth. So whichever group gets to pick first, you get to pick one of these up through 5. So there you go. Okay, so a rep from group 1. Let's see. Bryn, you've been chosen. Pick a number between 1 and 5, including 1 and 5.
2.
Who picks 2? Okay, group number 2. Let's see. How about Sheridan? Give us a number. Not including 2 now. 2's taken.
3.
Okay, let's see. Kennedy, give us a number. 2 and 3 are taken.
4.
Okay, we're just climbing the ladder. That's good. Okay, let's see. Ashlyn, give us a number. Not including 2, 3, 4. You got 1 or 5 to choose from.
1.
Okay, and let's see. Our last one, you get 5 because. Sorry, guys. Okay, group number 1. All right, you get to pick first. Imagine that. What do you guys want? 10 seconds, or you get Insta. Okay, group number 4. You get to pick next. TikTok for group 4. Okay, group 2. You're next for picking.
Okay, we will do Pinterest.
Pinterest. All right. Okay, let's see. Okay, we just had group number 2 picks, and now we've got group number 3. Yes, group number 3. Yours. YouTube? Okay, group number 5, you have the last choice.
Oh, wow. That's so nice. Snapchat.
Snapchat, all right. Okay, so here's the next week we'll have more time to work it out. But as a group, probably need some time outside of class because we'll have enough to really do it in depth. But you can start thinking about your particular platform. Here's the thing, sometimes we just assume that everybody knows and we post on it, and that's fine, everybody can click the publish button. But sometimes, even like TikTok, I don't watch the video of size B, how what's going to work well, that kind of thing. So things like that we might want to know, but clearly give us things that you would really want to know. And then don't forget that some of us might not know as much about it, especially if you use it a lot. Instagram has a lot of variables. They keep changing the reels and all the stuff that they do as well. TikTok keeps them all these on. Okay, so we'll have time next week, but now you know what you're working on. And then for people who are not in your group, I'm going to post this who are in your group but not here. You might want to give them a heads up. And you can look them up, of course, your groups, and maybe shoot them. Say, hey, we're working on this. And then we'll have some time next week. So in 2 weeks is when we'll actually do the presentations on the next week for the following week. And so we'll work more on it next week as we get to it. Okay. Do you have questions on that assignment or any other things we're working on this week? Okay. So of those 5 headlines you come up with, next week we'll talk about create your first blog post, and that will be due when we do our presentations as well. So just looking at the calendar. You should be good. Okay. Good to see you. Glad y'all made it here. Nice and warm and toasty now. I'm sorry. Hopefully you don't have to walk too far.